Well, hello, everyone. We will get started. We have a lot that we need to go over, but again, keep using that chat, get familiar with it. So the meeting is now being recorded. I need to let you all know that because that is proper meeting etiquette to let everyone know in a meeting that it is being recorded. The reason why it's being recorded is because eventually we will be uploading these sessions to our YouTube channel, our Sask Polytech YouTube channel. So for anyone who has missed anything, or maybe you have to leave early or something comes up, you can still watch and listen to all the things we have to talk about. Okay. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Sask Polytech. I mean, I know a lot of you aren't quite here yet, but like you're here. So welcome. And there we go. I love to mention welcome just a few times. First things first, we're going to start with a land acknowledgement. So some of you might not be familiar with this or wondering what it is. So I'm going to read the acknowledgement and then I'll kind of explain why we do it. And then Heather will send a link in the chat, the link that's here on the slide, to read more about why land acknowledgements are important. So we would like to acknowledge that Saskatchewan Polytechnic is situated on Treaty 4 and Treaty 6 territories and the ancestral lands of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dene, Dakota, Lakota, and Nakota peoples, and the traditional homeland of the Métis. So again, I really recommend reading up on this when you get a chance, because it's something, especially in Canada, or what we call Canada now. Most of us, other than with the exception of Indigenous people here on this land, we are all settlers. We have come here to live, play, whatever else, but the land does not belong to us, right? So what this is, it's a formal statement that recognizes the unique and enduring relationships between Indigenous peoples and those who have settled here. And it's also really important to understand that when we talk about colonialism, we don't talk about it in past tense, we talk about it in present tense, because different aspects of colonialism are always ever present in Canadian history, past, present, future. So I definitely recommend reading more. And whenever you come to campus, every campus has an Indigenous center that I really recommend visiting if you ever want to learn more about this stuff, which I really, really think you should. So feel free to talk to anyone in there. There's Indigenous advisors. They're all lovely and are all very open. So, it's always good to learn more. Right? All right. So your student experience at Sask Polytech, that is what we are here for. So before anything, I will formally introduce myself. My name is Kelsey Murrow. I am a student engagement coordinator for the South campuses. So that would include Regina and Moose Jaw. Though for Welcome Week and all the sort of in-person orientation stuff that you'll be learning more about, I will be primarily in Moose Jaw. So if you're in Moose Jaw, you'll see a lot of me. You'll hear me, that's for sure, because I am very loud, which is, good and bad, I guess, right? But in Regina, I will also be around. So basically, if you're in the South, you'll probably see me. Though if you're in the North, every now and again, I go visit. So maybe I'll get to hang out with you one day. We'll see. But if you are in the North, you will for sure see these two lovely ladies here. So we have Leanne Barrington and Lisa DeVries. They are both student engagement coordinators for the North, and you will see them around, I guarantee. They're both very, very bubbly, and any sort of event that's going on in Saskatoon, so especially orientation, you will see these two everywhere. And please note that you see the email at the bottom here that says studentengagement@saskpolytech.ca. That is our team email, and you can email that for any general questions that, whether it's something that comes up in this presentation or just in general about whatever else, we can always lead you in the right direction. So if you ever want to reach out, studentengagement@saskpolytech.ca is your best bet. And if you are in Prince Albert, this is going to be Nadine. Nadine runs Prince Albert. She's all by herself up there. So if you see her, talk to her, tell her your favorite color. She's very chatty, very lovely, and is always running events, and she's just a ball of energy. She's wonderful. And then here in the South, you got me. So I got to introduce myself enough. Then on the left, we have Amanda Powers. So she is primarily in Regina. So you'll definitely see a lot of her, especially during Welcome Week. That last name of hers, Powers, is very, very fitting. She is a powerful, energetic ball of fun. And you will have a good time with her. Trust me. When you come here for Welcome Week, you should, challenge her to an obstacle course or something, because she'll take you on and it'll be fun. Orientation is sort of the term that we've used to encapsulate all these aspects of your first, of like easing your way into post-secondary, basically. So, or whether you've done post-secondary before, easing you into Sask Polytech specifically. So orientation includes what we're doing right now. So these virtual sessions, as well as our Welcome Week events, which will be more in-person stuff. It includes our Bright Space that has, orientation information. It's all of this stuff. So if you want to read more or learn more about what orientation entails, we will go to this website here. You can find, I'll show you how to find it on the website as well, because that's really the main goal of this presentation, is to go over different supports and services offered to you, but also helping you navigate the website on your own. So you can kind of learn a little bit that way, because, it's 2023. We put things on websites and we put a lot of work into it. So you might as well utilize it, right? Okay, so this is our orientation webpage. So getting started, the way you can find it, and just keep this in mind, when in doubt, click the Student Life tab. When in doubt, click that tab and you will find all this stuff. This page you can get to by also clicking the Getting Started button. Boom, like that. Okay, so here's information on the self-guided orientation. So that would be delivered through Brightspace, which is the online system that Sask Polytech uses for classes and such. Heather will be going over it a lot more later, but basically your instructors will use that to put up their syllabus. Sometimes you turn in assignments that way. So it is something you will want to be familiar with. And again, Heather will go over it in much more detail later on. So this is basically it's essentially what we're talking about now, but in a Brightspace form, and like a little bit longer, is a little bit more information. But if you take it, you do, you're entered to win a contest, which means you just get some fun prizes. So you might as well do it, and you can kind of do it at your own pace, right? And of course, we've got the virtual orientation sessions, which you know about because you are here. So hello, way to go, way to read this. And then we have our campus tours, which one of them is occurring as we speak, but there are 4, so fear not. And I know a lot of you aren't even here yet, so for real, do not worry. But we have others. We have tomorrow at 10 a.m. It'll be at all the campuses at the same time. You just show up to the main entrance of each campus and someone will be there to greet you. You don't have to register, you don't have to pay, you just show up. So there's one tomorrow at 10, next week at 10, and another one next week at 3. So if you want to see more about it, you can click the event and read about it, but either way, you just show up. And then my first 5, this is in reference to sort of what we call it the My First 5, because it's the first 5 major aspects that you need to learn when you start at Sask Polytech. So the first week is all dedicated to getting started, or I said that last time too, getting started and settled. I don't know, I've done that a lot today. So this is basically, again, Welcome Week, which I will show you in a little bit. It's like the fun stuff, getting to know the campus, getting to know your support services, games, socializing, eating food, all of the fun stuff. Whereas the next week is a little bit more focused on particular departments. So the following week, there's one day dedicated to academic success. So there will be some activities and such from learning services and library services and so on. The next day will be healthy minds and bodies. So you'll see some events from fitness and recreation and counseling services. And there will be more information about this via email. So just, keep checking back. And again, you can also read this. We don't have details posted yet, which, they'll be there. Just keep checking. September 7th will be dedicated to personal safety and student relations, which all this stuff we'll go over as well in this presentation. And then on the 8th is career and employment services and student awards. So there's always going to be something going on your campuses. It's not like you have to register for these things. You just walk around campus and show up. And then Welcome Week. If you want to see all about Welcome Week, see what's going on every day. On the entire week, we have Ask Me booths at all the different entrances. So if you're ever not sure where you're going, whatever else, there will be people there answering your questions. Then, so on the first day, it's like welcome greeting, making sure that you know where to go on your first day of classes. So if you're not sure, you're like, I'm starting project management and I don't know where I'm supposed to go. We'll have a little list and we go, you go to this classroom right over here. And then Tuesday, we have a picnic on the greens. It's essentially more, it's just like, again, there's going to be food. There's going to be some live music. There's going to be some speeches and just, a little bit more like settled down, but also a good time. On the 30th, which is the Wednesday, is the Campus and Community Services Fair. So there will be various tables with different people from on campus, as well as community or businesses and organizations off campus. So it's essentially like one of those, like a fair, like you just walk around, see different tables. There's a bunch of good stuff, and you can network and learn some more about everything in your community and on your campus. And then the Thursday, the Student Connect Festival is kind of a big party. There's going to be inflatables and burgers and a dunk tank. And if you're in Moose Jaw, axe throwing and all sorts of stuff. So you definitely want to show up for all these. So you'll be good. And usually it starts around the lunch hour, but it will be going all afternoon. So trust me, you can't miss this stuff is what I'm telling you. You will also get emails. Okay, that's enough about orientation for now. I had to talk about it. Okay, so I also wanted to quickly mention that part of this virtual orientation series includes these Q&A sessions that we'll be having starting next week. So, right? Yes. So next week and then the following week, we will have Q&A sessions. So these sessions are dedicated to very specific departments that encapsulate our support services. So I want to quickly showcase international because I think a lot of us in this chat are international, which is wonderful. But there are a lot of questions that you might want to be asking me that I can't confidently answer because I am not an international advisor. And there's a lot of details there that I don't ever want to share or get wrong because it is so specific. So I really, really, really encourage you, if you are an international student and have a lot of questions about your visa, your immigration, everything like that, I really recommend coming to this Q&A session on August 17th. Because we'll have a couple of people from international there to answer whatever questions you want. And it'll be a full hour and a half uninterrupted time to ask them whatever you need to ask. So again, just please keep that in mind as you ask questions in the chat. If there's anything that's international specific, I'm probably not going to answer it because that's not my expertise, okay? So I have this QR code if you feel like scanning it on your phone and you want to just register for it now. But I will also have Heather, I don't know if she already did, send the registration link in the chat as well. So you can click that. And just remember too, this slideshow will be sent to you after all of this, like this slideshow, as well as some other links will all be sent via email. So if you're missing this or you have to go to the washroom really quickly and you don't want to miss anything, it's okay. This will be sent to you. Okay, so I just wanted to quickly point out the international Q&A. All right. And that's question and answer. I feel like I didn't even explain what that meant. Sometimes it's like, what are those letters? All right, so let's get into getting settled and connected. So I have to talk about this Q&A too. There will be a Q&A also dedicated to getting settled and connected. This will have people from our student association, which I'll explain what they do a little bit later, from our student association, from international, just to kind of be there, myself and a few others. I think someone from the bookstore should be there. So we're just working on getting them there. But there'll be multiple people there answering your questions about anything that sort of falls within this category. So please, please, please come to that as well. And again, you can find these links in whatever email, in the email I sent everyone that has the Navigating Sask Polytech. So however you registered for this, it's the same thing with the Q&A. Okay. So as I showed you before, when in doubt, go to the Student Life tab on the website. And this is where you can find information, first and foremost, about childcare, housing, and lockers, which I think are three very important things to cover before you start your school year. So we're going to take you right to the website here. Okay. All right. So housing, I am sure most of you probably have your housing figured out because you're already enrolled, but if you do not, please do not fear, you will find something. I do want to quickly add that there's only one campus that has actual on-campus housing, sort of typical of another university, and that is Prince Albert. So other than Prince Albert, there's nowhere else that has actual formal on-campus housing. However, Regina and Saskatoon have universities that are really close. So University of Saskatchewan is in Saskatoon, and then University of Regina is in Regina. And they're often options to stay in those dorms or those residences. There's just different contacts you have to reach out to. But for everything, it's usually good to go on something like Kijiji or rentals.ca. So I can show you here some options. And you can also email us at studentengagement@saskpolytech.ca because we can also give you some resources. So there's all sorts of options. There's different residences at the U of R that you can always use, the University of Regina. Or again, you can find off-campus housing here. However, if you are just like, there's just no chance and you are not finding anything and you need at least something for a couple of days or even maybe up to a month, whatever, you can also use Airbnb. Sometimes Airbnb offers cheaper housing if it's over like a period of time. It just depends, but that's not, you can always reach out and play around with that. And again, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, what is Airbnb? How does this work? Please reach out to me. You can definitely email us too. So we'll always be there to answer your questions. We're just kind of skimming the surface right now. So don't panic if this isn't like completely clicking yet. Okay, so that's housing. So here, let's go back to student life. And then here, let's go into childcare. So childcare, so if you have kiddos and, maybe they're not old enough to be in school yet. So, we do have options for childcare, but it's only on Regina, Saskatoon, and Prince Albert campuses. Unfortunately, Moose Jaw, we do not have childcare yet, though there are a lot of community options, daycares and such. So there is going to be something, it's just not going to be on campus. But for the other campuses, there are plenty of options. And if you go to this page, you can see who you can reach out to and who you can call. So definitely check that out. All right, the other thing I wanted to show you was lockers. So you can absolutely rent out lockers. And I really recommend it. It is not fun to haul around books all the time. I developed like a weird shoulder injury because I was carrying books so often when I was in grad school and I didn't just leave it somewhere. It would have been way easier to do that. So I definitely recommend renting lockers. You want to rent lockers, as soon as you can, honestly, because the earliest you want to do it is 30 days before school starts, but we have less than 30 days. So you might as well go look at your locker rental options now. So there are multiple ways you can do it, but the main way would be through your My Sask Polytech, which again, Heather will go over. So fear not if that is not familiar. Here are the fees. So you can do it for, per year, per semester, or if you're in sort of an apprenticeship program or a different, shorter program that doesn't really fall under either of these, you can do a bit of a cheaper option too. So there are plenty of options for lockers, but you'll be given a combination lock. So it's typically, you go one way 3 times, another way twice, and once to the right, if that's familiar to you. If not, we can always show you how to do it. But there is a video on how to open one, which is nice because it took me a long time to figure these out. So those are lockers. I know I'm a very, very, very quick speaker. So how are we doing? Are we keeping up? Am I going too fast? You doing okay? Thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm going to assume we're okay. Again, if I'm sure you're asking questions there in the chat, I believe it. If there's anything that, I don't know, Heather, you're like, we need to ask you this now, you can ask me for sure. Okay, beautiful. So we talked about housing. Oh yeah, so I know I mentioned campus tours earlier, but if you are not here yet and, I don't know what the campus looks like, I need to know what it looks like before I get there. Well, fear not, we have virtual ones. So I'm going to take you here to the link to our virtual 360 tours. Oh. So, is it as good as the real thing? No, but the fact that you can kind of get an idea of the lay of everything just from like bed is pretty cool. So if you want to see what the Moose Jaw campus looks like, for example, here's the front. It just looks so like, it looks like I don't know, this is a very specifically North American thing, but it's very like East Coast, like Ivy League, I don't know. So you can click this little target and it'll take you into different areas. So the library entrance, here's the library at Moose Jaw. You want to turn to the right, you can go down here to the student services area. You can see what that looks like. Yeah, it's just a fun little tool. So definitely play around with that. Okay, do this to myself. There we go. Okay, so parking. Every single campus has parking. every campus is obviously a little bit different and how the parking works, but essentially there's always student lots that you will pay for. The only place that I have to say is a little bit different is Moose Jaw. If you're in Moose Jaw and you're driving, there's often decent street parking. I will tell you that. I'm just being realistic with you, but I think it's still good to have some sort of pass just in case, because that's not always going to be reliable, especially when it's really snowy. Sometimes it can be hard to find efficient parking, but it is something to keep in mind. So with parking, you can read more about it here. I'll take you to it, but I do recommend using what's called the Honk mobile app. So I don't know if any of you are familiar or have it, if you're not from Canada, there's an app here in Saskatchewan called Pay by Phone. And you just, if there's like a meter, it has a little code, you enter the code on your phone and you pay with a credit card, easy peasy. You don't have to put in any change or anything like that. So it's the same thing with Honk Mobile. But if you want to see what the rates are and everything, definitely just check this out. All right, there's information, I didn't mention this last time. There is accessibility parking. It's good to know the map depending on, your situation. Sometimes there's different parking for those who are in wheelchairs and so on. So definitely check that out. There's maps of the parking lots for every single campus. And then Honk Mobile, there are instructions here. You can also use this code to download it and put it onto your phone as an app. So that is something I would definitely look into because, again, I'm going to keep saying this is 2023. Let's just make things easier. It's on my phone. Beep, boop, boop, done. Right? So I definitely recommend doing that. You can also use Honk Mobile. You don't only have to do it for like one day. You can pre-buy a pass for like a year or something like that if you're going to be on campus, every single day, and the daily rates just feel like they're a little bit too much. So that is something to keep in mind. Okay, I know the annotation feature works, but if you don't mind, we're not going to use it, okay? It gets a little distracting. Like I said, and I'm a distracted person, so you don't want me going, what, more than I already am. So if you decide, you're not driving, you want to take the bus, there are bus passes that are available through the Student Association. So that's the SPSA. That stands for Sask, Saskatchewan Polytechnic Student Association. They're essentially like an external group that are still, that work with us, but it's a little bit separate. So again, it's a little hard to explain, but they offer a bunch of different deals and opportunities for students, and that includes bus passes. So they're really easy to find on campus, though if you come to the Q&A session on getting settled and connected, you will learn a lot more about all of this stuff from one of the spokespeople from the Student Association. But if you can't wait, you wait until you get to campus. They're very easy to find, and you can ask them for bus passes. So that is something to keep note of. Oh, we already went through through locker rentals and housing. Okay, so I'm not going to go too much here into health coverage because I think that kind of falls within the international questions too, because it is a little bit different. And I know there's some of you who might not be international, maybe you're just from out of province, but it essentially is the same thing. There's kind of two different levels of healthcare here. So in Saskatchewan, you get a Saskatchewan health card. So that covers, go to a doctor, hospital, all of that stuff, right? Which is great. But in order to apply for one, you need to have proof of residence and all this other stuff. You can go on the eHealth Sask website and check all that out. But if you are an international student, I believe that you have to live here for a specific amount of time before you can apply. Again, I can't answer that confidently. So I would wait until that international Q&A to totally make sure that this is how it works. But once you have a Saskatchewan health card, that's when you can opt in or out of health benefits through the Student Association. That includes like health and dental, that sort of thing. Again, not going to go too far into it, but just know that if you want the SPSA coverage, you need to also have a Sask health card. You also should have a Sask health card anyway. I am American. We do not have free healthcare in the US, and it was the most amazing thing in the world to come here, get a health card, and not have to pay $180 just to see a doctor for a cut on my finger. So I definitely recommend doing that when you can. Okay. Yeah, if you want to read a little bit more about that health and dental plan through the Student Association, you just go to spsa.ca. Heather, if you want to throw that in the chat. Easy, spsa.ca. And then you can see all the stuff about the Student Association, including health and dental plans and other supports and services that include like used textbooks, things like that. I will be touching on that a little bit later. How are we doing? How are we doing, everyone? We're good? Love it. Okay. I know I got a lot to say. There's a lot to go through. So I try to make it a little funny, right? So I don't make it too boring. And if any of you have your video on and I see you falling asleep, I'll be like, oh, I know I really have to up the energy here. Okay, we already went over a bit of childcare here. Okay, so this is like one of the few areas that is not going to be under the student life tab over the things I talk about. So this is like the one thing. So under the Become a Student tab, you can read here about, the fun stuff, money, spending money, woo, we love it. So there's information about tuition, financial assistance, and student awards. That's where you can find all of this here. So in terms of student loans, tuition, all of that, that is always handled by enrollment services. They're typically at the front of all of your campuses, so they're really, really hard to miss. But there are multiple ways you can pay your tuition. You can, and the due date, by the way, is the first day of classes. So in pretty much everyone's case, August 28th. That's when you need to pay your full tuition by. So, but you can pay your tuition through credit card, through your bank. You can do it just, here in person with debit, whatever else. There's also this new system called Pay My Tuition. It's brand new. So to be honest, I'm not 100% familiar with exactly how it works, but it's something to note is an option. I can kind of show you what the website looks like. Looks real cool. Like you got to pay money on it. But yeah, again, I'm not totally sure how it works, but it is another option to pay with. Again, let's get rid of that annotation. All right. Okay, so let's put this in the chat. Just if you're just curious and want to look. Whoops. Where's my chat? There it is. Beautiful. Oh, I sent that as a direct message. Well, someone got that only to themselves. There you go. All right. I missed something here. Oh no, I did not. We will talk about student awards later on. Okay, so now we're into academic success. So, I think it goes without saying, this is probably pretty important for school to do well academically, right? So, first of all, we have another Q&A coming up on the 16th for this. So if you want to get a little bit deeper into all of this stuff, I definitely recommend attending this Q&A. It is on August 16th, which I believe is Wednesday, so a week from tomorrow. I will have Heather put the code in the chat, but you can also, again, do your QR code here with your phone if you want to get that onto your stuff. I feel like I shouldn't go over this so fast if you're wanting to scan it. I'll give it like 5 more seconds. In the meantime, okay, thank you, Heather. Perfect. And yeah, just register for it whenever. It was just like this. You just put your name and I meant to say, if you can, when you do register, try and put your Sask Polytech email. It's just a little bit easier for you to access the supplementary material that gets sent afterwards. Plus, everyone should be used to using their Sask Polytech email pretty much for everything, because that is where everything gets sent to you. Everything gets sent to you from your instructors. Everything is to your Sask Polytech email. So please make sure you are always checking that. If you're only checking your Gmail and wondering, when do my classes start, you need to check your Sask Polytech email. That's why. Okay. All right. So at Sask Polytech in Saskatchewan, especially, it is very, very, very important that you are attending all of your classes. I know that seems a little bit obvious, but it's not just important for obviously, learning and taking in everything that you're paying for, to be totally honest, right? But also, a lot of times your marks do depend on your attendance. Sometimes people's marks can be a little bit lower because they had poor attendance. So definitely show up to class as much as you possibly can. Of course, things happen, people get sick, but keep it within reason, right? Punctuality as well. So being on time, sometimes even coming in like 2 minutes late can be pretty disruptive. So you always want to try and be at least 5 to 10 minutes early for classes. It's just a sign of respect to you, right? If you really want to learn more about kind of the specifics of the academic code of conduct. So, what's expected of you and what else, and, the types of infractions that can be put upon you if you break certain rules. You can read about the student code of conduct. It's kind of interesting, sort of like reading the fine print of stuff, kind of interesting. So a lot of it involves what we call, academic integrity. So that includes citing and referencing work that isn't your own and giving credit to the author that you might be referring to in an assignment. So say you're writing an assignment on, I said this last session, on dolphins, okay? And there's some fact about dolphins that you don't know. So you found something in a book, something about what, bottlenose dolphins attention span. Let's do that, attention span, because that's what's in my brain. You obviously didn't know that information right off the top of your head. You found it in a book and you're putting the information out there. You don't want to hand it off as your own because that's academic misconduct or plagiarism. So you need to give credit to the person that gave that information. So that's where citation, all of that, like you'll hear that a lot once you start, trust me. So the terms APA 7 or MLA, things like that, those are all citation styles. You'll get familiar with those. Do not panic if that's something that is totally unfamiliar to you, because that is what learning services is here for. That is what the library is here for. You will learn all of this stuff, I promise. Okay, so that's not to scare you. It's just, things that we learn. And as I said, learning services in the library, always there to help. Heather here is from Learning Services. She's just wonderful. I used to work for Learning Services, so I have a soft spot. I technically do work for them kind of still. I edit papers here and there, but yeah. So I will show you the library webpage because this is a really, really important place to note. If you're wondering how I got here, let's go back to the regular website, just saskpolytech.ca, library, right up here. Okay, so this quick find option is for if you need to find so this doesn't really count for textbooks. It's not textbooks. This is just supplementary information that you might need for an assignment. So other books, right? You can look up something about, I don't know, let's say psychiatric nursing. Oh, my keyboard's messed up and my H types as an X. That's embarrassing. All right, it'll autocorrect. Okay, if you look up psychiatric nursing with an X, there's all sorts of resources. A lot of these are online. Some of them are only in the actual library in person, like physical copies. So you can tell here, like it's available at the library, but it's also available online. So this is where you can get different resources and things like that for research. You can also go here to the citation support button to learn a little bit more about this specific rules about APA 7 and all these other citation things you'll eventually learn. It might sound like a lot right now, but trust me, as you get further into your academic journey, this thing will be your best friend. And then under the Learning Services tab, you can find different study guides that are dedicated to different areas of learning. So, writing support, math and science, study skills, and so on. So definitely recommend checking those out on your own time. All right. And then, of course, if there is an issue that, you get approached that, hey, this was plagiarized and you feel that it was an unfair call, you do have the option of utilizing an SPSA student advocate. So think of them as sort of like your lawyer, in a sense, your academic lawyer, to help you through navigating whatever happened, right? So they are there to help you. It's free. You don't have to pay for anything. They are there to help you out. So that is something, though, hopefully we don't get to that point, but it's something to note that you can do. The SPSA advocates, the advocate in the north is Maddie Curry, and then in the south is Carrie Woodrow. They're all wonderful. But once again, we hope we don't get there. But if it does get to that, you do have some options for help. Okay. All right. So textbooks. All right. So a lot of people ask, can I get away with not getting a textbook for my class? I'm just going to say no. And I'm not just saying that as a, tisk. I'm telling you from experience. I was an undergrad for 5 years and I was in grad school for 2, almost 3. And I could never get away with not having a textbook. I tried, but you need textbooks. So your instructors will let you know what textbooks you need. But if for any weird reason you're not hearing it yet, you can also go to the bookstore website. Here, I'm sorry. Let's try this again. I'm moving slowly today. There we go. Let's go back to regular website. Okay, and then we'll go up here to bookstore. You can also find this in Student Life. Woohoo! Right there. Okay. All right, so you can order them online, which is typically easiest, and then you just go and pick them up in person on your first day of classes. So let's say you're attending the Regina campus. And maybe you don't have your book list yet. It could be in here. There might be information about what books you need. So you can actually find, so if you, let's look up your campus term. So we would want to do fall. Let's say you're in early childhood education. You can select your course. Let's see, you're in year 1 and the only section that's offered. Okay, I'm adding the course to my list just so I can see what books are in there. You can put get your books. And look at that. There's required books here. That's a lot of books. Okay, so that's a way that you can see what books you need, but typically your program head will also reach out to you via your Sask Polytech email and tell you what books you need. But this is also a way to figure out what, just if you need to budget or you want to plan ahead. Okay. Though, of course, textbooks are not cheap. That's just the nature of the world, right? So what you can also do is through this PSA, they offer used textbooks. Just be cautious. You might want to go look at them in person if you can, because, say there's a book on business ethics, but it was, it's like the 3rd edition and you need the 8th edition. Things sometimes change in those books, especially when it comes to things that can change over time, like the material. So you just want to be sure that it is the perfectly correct book. That's usually easy to figure out though, like when you're actually in there looking at the used books, but it is an option. They offer them much cheaper. So still check that out. And of course, some courses you need more than books. Like I know for nursing, you need all sorts of stuff that's beyond just books. So once again, you will get notified of these things by your program head. You will not be in the dark. And even if you're not sure up until the first day, on that first day, you will know. You will be told, and you will not be left to dry. Okay. All right. And then to find bookstores, there we go. And then here it is on the SPSA site. So services and supports, services, use textbooks. Okay. All right.
Pause you for 1 second, Kelsey. You just had a few questions.
For sure.
About paying tuition. Who should people contact if they have questions about tuition?
Okay, if you have questions about tuition, you will want to contact enrollment services. So I will put, give me just a second here. Actually, here, let me show you how to find it. I think at this day and age, we got to use this search button. I use this search button all the time. So we're going to go enrollment services. So there's different emails for different campuses. So you can find all of those emails here on their page, enrollment services. You can contact them. And all of their emails are under here for each campus. So I'm just going to send this entire link into the chat. Okay. And if you're still having issues, just go ahead and email me, or when I say me, the student engagement email, and I'll get back to you when I can. So, but for now, it's just good to reach out to enrollment services. Okay, good question though. Was there anything else so far? I know there's probably more, but relative to this? No. Okay. Well, then we will go right back. It's a good question though. I know and I know that there's a little bit of discrepancy between international and domestic students when it comes to that stuff. So again, that's why sometimes I hesitate to tell you who to talk to, but when in doubt, you'll always be directed to who you need to talk to. So if you go to enrollment services and they're like, actually, you need to talk to international about this, they will let you know. You will not be, nobody will go, I don't know, that's it. You'll always be led the right direction, I promise. Okay. So I know a lot of questions typically have been about your timetable or your course schedule. So typically you will get your course schedule on the first day of classes and you'll get it from your program head, or it will be emailed to you a little bit before classes start. But either way, you're going to get it. So if you don't see it right now on your My Sask Polytech, do not worry. It is okay. It is normal. Lots of program heads are still on holidays. Plus, they're still working out, getting classrooms and everything else. So we still are a little over 2 weeks out. So truly don't worry about it. If you haven't gotten it yet, you will get it. I promise. Just keep checking that Sask Polytech email. So I like to say this is, school. I know it's a little cliche, but especially at Sask Polytech, it is a full-time job. There's more work in a 2-year program than there's probably going to be in a 4-year program, right? So expect to be doing school stuff full-time. Whether if you're not at school, you'll be studying. It's a good idea to sort of say for every hour of class time is 3 hours of study time. That's sort of an adage that gets said a lot, and it depends, but typically it is a good thing to follow. So I know that all of us want to work, make money. Trust me, I understand, but especially for those of you who are international and you're here on a study visa, I would just say heed some caution before you really want to work, because remember, the reason why you're here is school first, and then you get a job, of course, but you don't want to sacrifice your academic performance for working. And I understand the nuances of needing to make money and so on, but just remember, school is your full-time job right now when you're here. And it depends on the program, but typically they can start anywhere from 8 a.m. to like 10 a.m. Sometimes they're not until later. Once again, you will know this before the first day of classes. You will know when your schedule is. And if for any weird reason you don't, just reach out to me or someone else and we'll figure it out. Okay. We will not let you drown. Okay. So now we're into healthy minds and bodies. This is the section I get very passionate about. I maintain that I know for myself, I can't do well in school or succeed academically if I'm not looking after my mental and physical well-being first. So I know it's easier said than done. Trust me, I understand. School is very stressful, but you have to look after your well-being before anything else. It is the most important thing. So all of these resources I'm going through are free. So please keep that in mind. All of this is free. Oh yeah, we got another Q&A on August 22nd. That will be all on this topic. So this will include fitness and recreation, counseling services. This session specifically will also include campus safety and student relations, that sort of thing. But so yeah, if you want to scan this, go for it. I will also have Heather send the link in the chat. She knows, I just have to say it. Okay, so the Healthy Minds and Bodies Q&A, August 22nd. And all of these sessions, by the way, are at 3 o'clock, like CST, Saskatchewan time. The only one that is not at 3 p.m. is the international session. That is at 9 a.m. CST. So just to keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and skip now. Okay, I know I already kind of said this, but really your physical and mental well-being are the most crucial things ever. They really are. So the physical health, we love physical health. Okay, so fitness and recreation. Every single campus has a fitness center, so like your standard gym. Every campus except for Regina campus also has a gymnasium, so like a big gymnasium with like basketball hoops and stuff. However, if you are in Regina, do not worry. There are intramural sports offered through the University of Regina, and there's also intramurals at all other campuses. So if you like playing team sports, those are options for you. So if you want to see some information about just different fitness opportunities we have, so in-person fitness classes, there are a lot of classes over the lunch hour at each campus, though we are trying to work to get some more a little bit later in the day too, just to accommodate for everyone's schedule. There's live stream schedules as well. There's a YouTube channel with all different types of workouts. All this, you can tell that a lot of the YouTube stuff was made during COVID, but you know what? This has helped us kind of do the virtual and in-person thing because that's the way the world is. So you can also do mindfulness moments, which is essentially like a form of meditation. So if you're feeling like you're up here and you need to get down here, these moments are really, really helpful. There's also different challenges, intramurals. So again, that's just different sports. So these are not updated right now. I will just let you know that. They'll be updated for the fall, hopefully pretty soon. I don't exactly remember what sports will be in the fall, but I believe badminton, volleyball, basketball, maybe cricket. I think it's those. Hopefully soccer, but I'm not 100% sure. But just check back when you can. There's also personal consultations that you can do. So if you just have like your own personal fitness goals, maybe you've never been in a gym and you just want to know how to do a squat, or even you just want to like know how to use the equipment without hurting yourself. You can always ask these guys and have one-on-one sessions with them. Or if you want to get, maybe you're a runner and you're trying to, beat your half marathon record or something, it could go from any level. So we got Chris in Moose Jaw, Dwayne in Regina, Kelly in Saskatoon, and Grant in Prince Albert. Kelly is a very, very nice guy. Don't let this tough picture of him make you feel like he's not. It's one of my favorite pictures. I give him a hard time. He's actually a very, very nice guy. He's not a scary guy like he looks in that picture. So that is Fit and Rec. That is your physical health that, we always want to be looking after too. I keep getting these confused. We also have a health nurse on each campus, with the exception right now of Moose Jaw. Hopefully we'll be getting one soon. I'm just not totally sure yet, but there are still different options within the community. You're not going to, if there's an emergency, of course, you're not going to be going to a health nurse anyway. You'd go to the hospital, but there are health nurses if you just need to talk about, again, if you just maybe like something that's not an emergency, right? You can go in for a little bit of like, if you have some questions about, I have this cut that's kind of weird, right? I feel like I keep talking about a cut because I have a cut on my thumb. Couldn't tell. Okay, this is the time where I look right in the camera and tell you, all of you, eye contact. Use counseling services because they are free. It is very, 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 very beneficial to use counseling services. And I cannot stress enough, you do not have to use counseling services when you're at rock bottom. It doesn't have to get terrible before you need counseling. I think there's there's this stigma around counseling in a sense that you need to be at the absolute worst mental state ever to go to counseling. And that is absolutely not true. Of course you can when you are at that state, but the idea is that you don't get there, that you don't get to that point. That is why you want to utilize counseling services, proactively. So that would mean, it can go from anywhere to you're really, you're a bit anxious about this class. You're just a little bit like, well, it's like every time I go to this class, I feel a little bit overwhelmed and yada, yada. Or it can go to even if you have some personal stuff that's outside of school that you just need to talk to someone about, please utilize counseling services. And I'm going to be very real with you, especially for those who are maybe not from Saskatchewan. It is hard to find therapy and things that don't cost a lot of money. It's just sort of the reality of the world. So when you have these resources for free, please use them. Please, please, please use them. Okay. So I know I seem very passionate about it. It's because I am. I think this is really, really important for everyone to know. Okay. And once again, it doesn't have to be just about academics. It can be about something in your own life. It doesn't have to involve Sask Polytech. Okay. There are also Indigenous counselors if you, upon request. So what's great about Indigenous counselors is, first of all, you do not have to be an Indigenous person to utilize their services, but they do offer just different types of approaches that may not be standard to, kind of the Western medicine aspect of things. So there's different approaches. So if you want to try something else, I definitely recommend utilizing Indigenous counseling. They're wonderful, but the main ones I know are here in Regina, and they're wonderful, wonderful people. And of course, these appointments are confidential and private. Hope that goes without saying. Okay. Oh yeah, and I'll show you how to book an appointment. So you can find all these services under Student Life, of course. You can actually just go straight to Student Services, or you can see it here, Counseling Services. So you can, again, if there's ever an emergency or crisis, that would be something you'd call 911 for. But there's also different options if you go down here, like different resources. So again, these mindfulness moments that I mentioned, IMPOC gathering groups. So these are really good groups for if you are a person of color, Black, Indigenous, and you just want like a safer space to, just discuss the world, right? That is a really, really good option for you. It's every fourth Tuesday of every month. There's always going to be some sort of advertising or events for these. So these are just all different resources you can use. And a women's sharing circle as well, that I think is really important. And if you want to contact anyone specifically, you can go onto the campus specific tabs, but you can also just request an appointment. All right. So now I know that we went a little bit serious, but serious, but still, a little bit lighthearted. This is where we get a little bit, not quite the fun stuff, but it's important, needless to say. Personal safety and student relations. So first of all, I want to mention that Saskatchewan Polytechnic operates on the foundation of Mio-Wahkotuin, which is a Cree term meaning good relationships. And Cree is a common language of the Cree people of this area and a lot of other parts of Canada, as well as a bit of the USA. So what this essentially means is everything here, everyone works holistically. So that means that, from faculty, so your instructors to counselors to facilities people, everyone is working together to ensure that you are having your best experience you possibly can and that you're safe. So it's not segregated in any sort of way that, nope, so-and-so takes care of that and so-so takes care of that. We're all here to take care of you. That is ultimately what we are here for. Everyone here is here for you. So keeping that in mind when we talk about keeping ourselves and others safe is really, really important. If you want to read about, again, the not so fun stuff about the student code of conduct, it's basically just information about, what happens if certain rules are broken. So whether that's something as small as, maybe getting caught smoking outside versus something as serious as assault. We need to be safe and understanding that no matter where we are, these things can happen. So we always have to make sure that we know how to keep ourselves safe and keep others safe as well. So again, it's not very fun, but it is just the way the world works. And we have to be always on our toes, right? So if you ever want to read more about all of that, I definitely recommend it. Again, it's just an interesting read, I think. Okay, so we also have community resources for outside of Sask Polytech. I know I've gone through a lot of on-campus stuff, but you should also know about your community. What is available in the city you live in? So if you live in Regina, but you're not really sure where to, I don't know. Let's see, let's look here. Okay, maybe, yeah, you're struggling for housing, which again, hopefully we work with that to ensure that that doesn't happen, but you never know. If you don't know where the nearest hospital is, right, this resource can help you. I visit it all the time because I have lived in Regina for 10 years and I still don't know where a ton of stuff is. So I'll use this to be like, oh yeah, how many, I don't know, maybe not a coffee shop, but how many theaters are around me, right? It's just sometimes good to do that because we all know how to use Google. We all can go, hey, Siri, XYZ, but this is just a nice resource that just puts everything very, very easily to navigate. So SAS 201 is a good resource. And I always forget that I have it. So don't be like me. All right, so last but certainly not least, and we're gonna wrap up here, Heather, because Heather's got some stuff to talk about too. We're gonna talk about career and employment services and student awards. So yes, you guessed it, we have another Q&A. That will be on August 24th. That will be the last question and answering session. I think this is definitely a good one to attend because, we're all here to get jobs. Let's be real. We go to school because we love learning, but we want to work. So definitely recommend going to this Q&A to learn a little bit more about what are different departments that are surrounded, that surround jobs and working, career, everything like that, what they offer. So there's our code there. So this is my second time that I keep eye contact very intensely. Please apply for student awards and scholarships. There are thousands of unspent dollars every single year just sitting there that nobody applied for. Please apply for scholarships and student awards. It does not cost anything to apply. Just do it up. Trust me, there's nothing to lose. You'd be surprised for the amount of awards that you can qualify for. You just have to try. You just have to apply for them. So the average award value is $1,000, which not too bad. There's over 1,300 student award recipients every academic year. And about 45% of those are dispersed to equity groups. So there's varying degrees of what an equity group really means, but essentially that means, basically if you're a visible person of color, or you are a woman in the trades or something that, any or other sort of thing that would be considered like a minority in this, in where we are. So definitely utilize that if that's a category that you fall under. There's tons and tons of opportunities there, but there are opportunities for everyone too, right? But the only way you can really know is if you apply. And not everyone, many people don't apply. So apply, trust me, apply, free money. So if you want to see the different types of options you can, or the different categories that you can look for, you can even put in keywords. So say you are a person who is Indigenous. Looked that up before. You can filter out all the options there. And also they change all the time. There's different windows for different scholarships. I also should mention that if you are an international student, you can't apply for any scholarships until your second semester. So if this is your first semester, unfortunately, you cannot apply for scholarships yet until next semester. So if you have any more questions about that, that's something you can bring up in the international Q&A. Okay, so here's different awards that are specifically for Indigenous folks. So this is, look at, there's so many, so many. So please check these out. Okay, I'll send you here. I'm just gonna send this link while we have you. We'll just go. Again, that's just something I just want you to note that it's there. Oh. All right. Okay, I'll be really quick about the last two aspects of, so there's career counseling and there's student employment services. So career counseling, essentially they're like counselors, except they help you find jobs or figure out, maybe not jobs, but they help you figure out what type of work you want to do. Maybe you're in a certain program and you're like, you know what? I'm kind of sick of this. I don't know if this is really what I want to do with my life. You can talk to a career counselor and they can help navigate what's right for you. They base it off of your beliefs, your values, all sorts of stuff like that. So definitely utilize them. They're free. You can have online appointments and you can also, you can talk to them in person, but you also don't have to be actually a current student. You can be alumni. You can be, maybe you're not even a student yet. I mean, I think most of you are students now, but still it's available for all sorts of people. And then you can book online, which again, that stuff can be found under student life. I know I got to wrap it up. And the student employment services, so I know it seems like they're a little bit similar to career counseling, which they sort of are, but student employment services are usually the ones who link you with different employers. So Sask Polytech, it being a polytechnic institution, it is very, very ingrained with industry. So student employment services work really closely with different businesses in Saskatchewan and elsewhere, not just Saskatchewan, to ensure that there's, they always know who's hiring. Different programs have different, relationships with various businesses that are relevant to your program. So that's always going on. But they also can help you with your soft skills. So your technical skills would be what you learn in school, right? That's your specialty. So, if you are in accounting, you know how to do accounting. But the soft skills are the things like, interviewing, networking, just meeting new people, the things that really help in getting a job, not so much the qualifications of the job itself, but the in-between, getting the job. So student employment services are very, very helpful. And they also hold career fairs every year, which there's always different advertising about. So you can always make appointments with them and talk to them as well. All right. We also, and I'll send all this in the follow-up email. You can also check every event that's going on at Sask Polytech. It's on our events page. If you just go on our main page and just Google events or search events, you will find that. We also have various social media channels, which once again, I will send in the follow-up email. And SPSA has some stuff as well. So all sorts of ways that you can keep up with what's going on here. And I also recommend volunteering. I will send this link in the chat because I think this is such a good resource. Volunteering is good for all sorts of reasons, for life skills, for your resume, all sorts of stuff. Ooh, I keep doing that. So please, oh goodness, sorry everyone. I'm just all over the place right now. Oh. Okay, well, either way, I need to stop sharing anyway. I don't know what I did to that. Okay, I know that last bit was a little bit rushed, but it's because I want to make sure that Heather here can talk about her wonderful information about online, everything online. So that would be like my Sask Polytech and so on. So think about, before we go into this, I just want you to realize that this session is really about helping you navigate everything on your own too. I know I gave a lot of information, but I'm really scraping the surface here. And thank you, Heather, for sending those links. You are wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, this is stuff that I really want you to sort of explore on your own, but just know that the Q&A sessions will talk more about specifics, and you can always email me as well with other questions. So, and we'll have some questions at the end, but for now, I'm going to hand the microphone off to Heather.
All right, thanks, Kelsey. So I'm Heather Tway. I work with Learning Services on the Regina campus. So if you're on this campus, you might see me. I'm located in the library. And I'm just going to go through really quickly some of the online stuff you need to know. So some of the tools you'll be using as a Sask Polytech student. Even if you're an in-person student, you will still use a lot of these online resources. So it's just going to be a very brief intro, but I'll leave you with where you can go if you have more questions. Okay, so you will also get slides that I'm showing you as well when Kelsey sends them out at the end of today. So I'm just going to share my screen, and we just call this Getting Started Online. And these are the general things I'm going to cover, a little bit about some of the computer stuff you'll see when you're logging on for the first time. And then we're going to spend most of my time just kind of touching on my Sask Polytech, my Office 365, which are Microsoft products that you get for free. Maybe a little bit about Zoom, and then Brightspace, which is where you'll find all your course material Kelsey alluded to. So the first thing I just want to note is when you do go to log in, you will probably see the student code of conduct prompt. So it's going to be a little window that pops up that just asks you to scroll through student code of conduct, review it, and then acknowledge it to move forward. You'll only get this once. And this is that student code of conduct that Kelsey referred to previously. So if you have more questions on this, on the expectations of you, expectations of your instructor, emailing student relations at saskpolytech.ca is a good first step. So again, that'll just be once, and then it'll go away. We also have multi-factor authentication. So a lot of you might have set this up already. This is when you have to link up your smartphone to your account. So basically you get a text message with a verification code that you enter online when you go to sign in to various Sask Polytech sites. There's no way of getting around this. The key thing is to remember you need to have your phone on you basically at all times. It's not super helpful if you come to campus, you need to get on a computer, need to check your email, and if you don't have your phone, there's nothing we can do about it. So you need to make sure you keep the device that you linked up with your account on you, basically always. Okay, I'm not going to go through the step-by-step guide to setting this up. So if you haven't done this yet, it is pretty straightforward, and the link to the guide to follow is right here. Note there is a Microsoft Authenticator app for your phone. So it used to be that you could use face recognition or like a fingerprint instead of getting that code texted to you. That's changed a bit now. It's a bit less useful. You still need to get a code to authenticate going forward. So no way around it. All right, so after those two things, I want to take you here. This is really where I'm going to spend the rest of my time today, is just talking about my Sask Polytech and basically why it's your home base. It's where you should start your day, where you need to check everything, and all the other tools I'm going to talk about you can access from my Sask Polytech. So a couple different ways to get there. You can just type in my saskpolytech.ca, or I'm going to pop over to, where is mine? There we go. To my Sask Polytech homepage. And as you can see, it's located my Sask Polytech over here, kind of top right. Once we select my Sask Polytech and log in, this is going to be your general homepage. Take some time and kind of go through some of these different buttons, see what's in here. I'm just going to cover a couple of the very important ones. First and foremost, this is your big one. This lovely orange little envelope. It's your email. You are now Sask Polytech students. Going forward, communication is going to come through this email. So course schedules you've been asking about will come through your Sask Polytech email, right? So you want to make sure, again, starting right now, you were checking this like once a day. Just kind of get into a good habit of going in and checking. If anything happens with your schedule, if an instructor needs to move a class, any other important information, you're going to find that through your email. Okay, so anything important will come through here. And again, it really has to be for sure at least a daily thing that you are checking on. The other two things I want to talk about are Brightspace and my Office 365. I'm just going to go to this one first, though. These are the Microsoft products I was talking about. So as a Sask Polytech student, you have free versions of Microsoft Word, Outlook, Excel, PowerPoint. So all these applications you'll need to complete your classes, you have access to them. So from my Sask Polytech, if you click this lovely red button, it is going to take you to your Microsoft 365 homepage. Okay. First thing you're going to note is that some of those apps I was talking about, it's like your Outlook, this will be your Sask Polytech email, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, are over here on the left. These are the online versions. There's nothing wrong with them. They work, but I like to think of them as kind of the light versions of these programs. So they don't have all the features that like the full desktop programs would have. So I do recommend actually downloading these apps onto your computer. And you can do that really easily by the same page, this Microsoft homepage. Over here on the right, it just says install apps. And then you just select a little download arrow, Microsoft 365 apps. So again, as a student, you have free access to this. You can download this whole suite of apps onto up to 5 devices. Okay, so that means you can have it on your laptop, you can have it on your tablet, on your phone. Okay, they can each have these programs. It works whether you have a PC or a Mac. Okay, all versions are available. And they're the most up-to-date versions that again are the full versions you can have on your device. So I do recommend, if your laptop is new enough, definitely downloading these. It'll just make your life easier. And like I said, for as long as you're a student, you have free access to these. Okay. Any questions about this Microsoft apps thing so far, your Microsoft products, I should say? Okay, I don't see any, I don't hear any. So we're gonna move on, come back to that My Sask Polytech. Definitely, like I said, I would, kind of investigate some of the different things in here. If you ever need your ID number, you can access that in this lovely purple bar over to the side. We have upcoming events and announcements, just kind of good things to check out. Just spend some time getting familiar with this and getting comfortable. The last thing I want to talk about today is this third icon, and it's this Brightspace. And this is where you're going to find all your class information. So anything your instructor usually gives you in class, they'll also put a copy of on your Brightspace. If you are an online student, this is going to be the main place that you go to, right? So once we click Brightspace, we are going to come to your Brightspace homepage. Most of you will probably have program homepages, which means they'll look a little bit different than this. You might also have program-specific news here at the top. Anytime you see news in Brightspace, you want to make sure you read it. Okay, so that is news that's actually sent by your instructors, by your program head, and it's important. So it's something you need to know. So just make sure to keep an eye on whether there's any news items and just read them, and then you can dismiss them if you want. Once you're on this homepage, I recommend kind of just spending your time familiarizing yourself with the top here. You can scroll down and find all your courses down here, But what I find is handier is just using this symbol. So it's a set of cubes, kind of looks like a Rubik's Cube. I think it looks like a waffle. And from here, you can hop between all your different classes. You will note that right now you might just have a couple classes in here, depending on if you're a new student, how many you've taken before. But the list can get pretty extensive once you get into like further semesters. So what I like to do is pin the class that I am currently taking, just to make it faster to hop between them. So to do that, you just take whatever course you're currently taking. This little looks like a thumbtack or a pin. You just select it. Then next time you go to search, you'll see it just kind of pops up there to the top. And you can also unpin them. So you're done the class, you can just unpin, then refresh, and it's no longer pinned there. So just pinning your current classes will definitely save you some time day to day going through these courses. Other thing to note here is your Brightspace homepage you can always get back to by selecting this little house icon over on the left. So that's kind of the main things there. I'm going to actually take us into a course just to go through a few more things in a Brightspace course. For the most part, courses are set up the same way. So you'll see this top ribbon basically looks the same. So you can still go back to the home page. You still have your waffle here. You can jump between classes. Underneath that, you will see another ribbon that's going to be common to all the courses you take. There's a lot of stuff under these, and I'm not going through everything today. Again, take some time to kind of look around and see what you see. Not all instructors are going to use these resources and tools, so don't be surprised if you just select something and it comes up as like blank. Okay? The one thing that won't be blank is content. So content is basically how you open up your course. So when you come to a course, this is going to be the thing you always click. Think of it as kind of opening a book, I guess. When you're going to a course for the first time, I recommend kind of a top-down approach. That's basically how these courses are organized. So I recommend starting with table of contents. And then once you're here at the very start of your course, I recommend scrolling down till you find your first heading. So once you click this first heading, you have actually opened up the course, and now you can kind of go through it page by page. The reason I recommend going through it this way, rather than kind of like hopping between titles, is that you're going to make sure you don't miss anything important, and you're going to come to information when you need to come to it. So to go through here, you just opened up your first page, you'll read whatever's on here, or it could be a video, could be asking you to do a quiz. You just kind of complete whatever's on the page, and then once you're done it, you can just click next. Okay. As you go through here, you might come to a point where you naturally want to stop for the day. And what you can do then is use this bookmark to keep track of where you are in this class. So just like you would with a textbook, do it with your online course. When we hover over it, scrolling a little bit, you'll see it says add bookmark. Click on it, turns black. Next time you come into this course, whether it's tomorrow, later in the day, and again, you're going to go to content to open it up. Rather than trying to remember which heading I was on, where I left off, just go over here to bookmarks and choose your top bookmark. So even if you've bookmarked pages before, the last one you bookmarked will always be on top. And then it takes you right to the page where you left off. It seems like kind of a silly basic thing, but because all your courses are set up the same, you can kind of lose track of where you're at. So this will definitely save you some time and headaches if you just remember to click bookmark before you leave the course. All right. A couple other things I just want to talk about with Brightspace before we wrap up, and then I'll leave a good 5 minutes for questions, is some of the items under here. I want to specifically, actually I'm going to go to a different course first. But I want to talk about the class list. Hang on, there we go. This is just a fake class that I have set up. Hang on. And if you go under communication, we have this item called class list. And it's what it says it is. It is a list of everyone in your course. So if you want to reach out, if you want to contact people, if you just got someone's first name and you can't remember their last name, you can go here and it'll tell you whether they're the instructor of the course, okay, or the student. And if you want to then contact them, the little arrow by their name, you can just click send email. And this will send an email from your Sask Polytech email to their Sask Polytech email. But it's a good way if you need to connect to the classmate, ask a question, if you've missed something. It's just a pretty handy way to communicate. And it also works this way with your instructor. So your instructor will be listed in here. Same thing, select this little down arrow by their name, click send email, and send your instructor a question. It's nice because you always know they get it because it kind of sends within our system. So it's not going to get caught in like security or anything like that. They will make sure that they get it. Okay. I'm going to show you one more thing. I want to talk a little bit about read speakers. I'm going to hop back to this Brightspace course again. And content. Let's go to that last bookmark. Read Speaker has some pretty cool tools kind of built into it that can make your life easier. You'll notice this icon on all the pages. And at its most basic, this is the Read Speaker tool, and it just reads out what's on the page. Or it should.
Welcome to Saskatchewan Polytechnic. Okay.
So, as you can see, it just reads through, it highlights words as you go through stuff. So if you're a person who likes to listen to content, this can be really useful. It also has some other features that I do want to point out. So you can actually download this reading, okay, and put it on your phone if you're, say, in the car or if you're on the bus and you want to listen to it. That can be handy. It also has this tool called Page Mask, which is one of my favorite things. So it's just this highlighted line. You can make narrower or wider, and it can be helpful when you're like reading through information on a website. I find it helpful. And other fun things you can do as you are on Brightspace, you can highlight a word, okay, and you can have it defined for you by clicking dictionary down here. And you can also have it translated for you. Okay? Not every language is available. We have quite a few, and they're adding a few more all the time. So if we just chose learn, I'm just going to choose French because it's the only one I'm familiar with. Translation is here. Okay? And lastly, you can also, if you're like, how do we pronounce this word? I'm really not sure. You can also just select and have single words.
Resources.
Pronounced. So I'm a big fan of this Read Speaker tool, and I think it's useful for everyone. So definitely make use of that, and it will be in all your courses. Okay, what else are they going to talk about? I think it's about it. We have a little over 5 minutes left. So I can definitely, if you have any questions about these tools, my Sask Polytech, that kind of stuff, please, yeah, you can come off mute or put them in chat. I think I'll stop sharing just for now. Okay, I missed any questions, Kelsey? Are we doing good?
Oh, no questions pertaining to that, at least.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, if I missed any questions. Nope, I think we're good. All right.
For the Q&A, if I use my Sask Polytech email, will the email send to electronic letters? What do you, electronic letters? Here, Jamshed, do you want to maybe elaborate a little bit? For the Q&A, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, don't be.
I have a question here in the chat, please.
You have a question there?
Yes. How do you withdraw from courses
Oh, yeah. So again, that's going to depend. We already spoke a little bit in the chat there, but if you are an international student, I think that is, I believe you would still want to talk with international about that because the way that the courses are registered are through international. But if you are a domestic student, or so you have your permanent residence or your Canadian citizenship, you would just go to enrollment services. But it will depend. Either way, you'll be led in the right direction. But yeah, it's a little bit tricky. I would start with international first. Or contact international at saskpolytech.ca. And then, yeah, Jamshed, if you want to, again, I'm just not too sure what you mean by will your email send to electronic letters? Basically, I'm just saying if you, so when I said signing up for the domestic students, are we, oh, that's another question, sorry. Here, I'm just gonna go back to the other one first. Okay, again, I'm not super sure what you're asking there, Jamshed, but I'm going to say if you use your, for the Zoom call, if you use your Gmail, oh yeah, it's just better to use your Sask Polytech email in terms, of signing up for video or for Zoom or anything like that, just because, well, Zoom is attached to your Sask Polytech email, so it'll be a better quality Zoom call for you, at least I think. Plus, any sort of information that gets sent to you, so like PowerPoints or whatever else that are, which that will be the case with the Q&As, you can't actually access those PowerPoints if it's from your personal email. It has to be Sask Polytech. So for example, today, the follow-up email that I'll be sending all of you, you won't be able to open, like I will be sending it to a lot of your personal emails because that's what you signed up with, but you will have to actually probably forward that email to your own Sask Polytech email so that you can open the PowerPoints. I know it sounds roundabout, but we need to get really used to using our Sask Polytech emails. And then for domestic students, are you paying the tuition fees once or can it be paid first semester and second semester? I believe technically you can do both. You can do it in a split way, at least I believe. But that is something that I would still talk to enrollment services about that, but I'm quite certain that you are able to pay one per semester, at least I think. And again, Heather, if I'm wrong, let me know. Get with tuition stuff. I typically don't like to answer that stuff because it's just like, I'm not 100% sure. Oh, okay, so you got that. How to get your address and phone updated and get your letter of enrollment with your info updated. So for your letter of enrollment, yeah, your address and phone, you should be able to do that in your My Sask Polytech in your personal details. The phone number, I'm not sure. Heather's the one who's good at this stuff.
As far as like updating your information, definitely My Sask Polytech. So when you log in and it was just your first homepage, if you scroll down, there's a section called Enrollment Services. And that is where you find like information on your tuition and enrollment, but it's also where you can update your address and phone number and other information. It just says update personal information.
Okay. Okay, so the question about on-campus work, if you want to check for part-time jobs on campus, how soon can you apply? Okay, so I'm only answering this in the way I am, not because I'm trying to like scold or anything like that. First of all, there's typically not really on-campus jobs, but I know, as I said before, it's not something you should really be prioritizing, is finding a job, especially on campus. There's not a lot of stuff available on campus. You can definitely talk to student employment services about other opportunities, maybe outside that are ideal for international students. But again, it's not really, I'm just trying to tell you, and I'm saying this from like a caring place, do not prioritize finding a job over school, especially if you are an international student. Because here's the problem. If you're working and it gets in the way of school, if you don't do well in school, you won't be able to be here, right? Which is not what anyone wants. And I know, and I'm not saying that people can't balance, but what I'm saying is that you don't want to prioritize finding the job over your school. And I'm just saying that with tough love. That is what I'm saying. But you can still talk to employment services. So again, each campus has a different one. You can always ask us, or if you just say, hey, who do I talk to about employment? They'll send you in the right direction. Yeah. So again, though, in terms of finding a job on campus, like it's probably not going to happen. There's just not really on-campus jobs typically. And where would you find the email that you receive at Sask Polytech? Heather did just show you that. She showed you how to access your email. So it's on your if you go on your My Sask Polytech page, there's a little button that says email. You will click that button and it'll take you to your Sask Polytech email. And trust me, you need to right now, you need to check that every single day, because that is what everything for school, everything for Sask Polytech will always be going there. So make sure that you know exactly where that thing is. You might even, I have the beautiful thing about the Office 365, you can download it all to your computer, and there is an Outlook app that you can just that's just part of your desktop. And it's really, really handy. So that's what I would do. It just makes it easier to check it all the time. Okay.
Yeah, just trying to answer some other questions.
Yeah,
Good
sorry.
question about lockers. Is it good to wait till your first day of class to find a locker in like a good location? Do they still have it organized by program? I kind of know.
I think it depends on the campus, but I'm not 100% sure. It's your call. They're just because sometimes people do get them, I would do it earlier if you can. That's just my opinion. But if you're obviously not on campus or not able to really see where everything is, I understand. I think you can work out where it is. I actually am not 100% sure, but I just think I mean,
I would do it first day. I think it's probably fine to wait for first day.
yeah,
Then you
okay.
will know, you'll make sure you have or at least wait till you have your schedule, which
that's a good idea.
soon. And then you'll have a general idea of where you kind of want your locker.
And then, sorry, yes, I'm seeing a few questions. Yes, this will be posted on our Sask Polytech YouTube channel. Probably give it a little bit though, because it's a lot of work to edit these videos and everything, and our media team works super hard. So, it's not going to be immediate, but once they do get posted, I'll send an email out to everyone letting them know where it is, and you can find it on, again, the Sask Polytech YouTube channel. This will be there. Do you need to pay the full payment, your tuition on or before August 28th? The due date is the first day of classes, so August 28th.
Mm-hmm.
A little birdie told me that there's a little bit of a grace period, maybe like a day or two, worst case. So I will tell you that so you don't absolutely panic, but the 28th is really when you should have it. Okay, and then, in terms of that ISA meet and greet this morning, you will want to ask International about that. I believe I'm not sure if they recorded it. I am not too sure. I'm sorry you missed that. Yeah, that's a valid reason. I hope everything's okay. Amarula. There you go. Thank you, Heather. Okay. Perfect.
Can I ask my question?
Yes, you may ask your question. Yeah.
About the student card, where I can get the student card?
Okay, good question. So, depending on your program, it'll be part of your orientation process. So on, the first few weeks of school, there will be a certain time where your class will be able to go to enrollment services and get your student IDs made. If for any reason that doesn't happen or you miss it, there is from 1 to 4 p.m. every Wednesday, you can go to enrollment services or registration. It's sort of, it might be called registrar or registration or enrollment. It's the same thing. And you can get it done on those days at that time. But you do just remember you need a valid form of government ID in order to get it. So just something to keep in mind. But you'll get that information, Lucas, closer to your start date.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And then
We had another good question about Tyler is going to the PA campus and he has funding towards books and tuition through Gabriel Dumont, which I know gets paid directly for him through Sask Polytech. What about books? Does the bookstore deal with that?
I do not know. That's a good question. Oh gosh, I'm pretty clueless about that.
Okay, Tyler, I'm going to put the PA bookstore email in there because they will know for sure. So if it's not them directly, they will definitely know. It'll either be them or your program. But yeah, the bookstore will know for sure. So I would email them and I think it should be good.
And again, okay, so I'm just gonna have like a blanket answer because there's a little bit of the same stuff and we do kind of have to wrap it up. So, and I know well, it's on me. I just talk too much, right? So any questions that are about your tuition or anything like that, I would ask enrollment services. They're the ones who take care of all of that. So, and when it comes to things like tuition, I never want to give the wrong information or lead you astray. So I'm not really going to confidently answer some of those questions. I want you to contact your enrollment services for your campus. So again, I will put the contact link where you can find, because it's a different email depending on each campus. I will put that in the chat. And again, that will also be in the stuff that I send you after this. And in terms of your approval for your student loan. Yeah, with student loans, that is also something you want to talk to enrollment services about.
Mhm.
And then as for internet connection. Oh, you missed about books, Tyler. Heather will send you the email to you're going to email the Prince
Yes, I
Albert
will.
bookstore. Yeah, you'll email the PA bookstore about that because we're not super sure. That's a really good question.
Yeah. I feel like the bookstore handles it. I know you don't have to like pay directly. Someone handles it.
Yeah,
Just
that's
not
a really
sure.
good question.
Yeah.
So once again, and it's not to interrupt anyone who might have other questions, but again, I will be sending this follow-up email with all of this information with these slides, a ton of different links and so on. Once again, if it's not getting to your Sask Polytech email, I know it sounds like a lot of work, but you're going to have to forward that to your Sask Polytech email in order to open the slides. Just kind of the nature of it. I can't attach them because the files are too big. Such as technology. We can go to the moon and space and all that, but I can't attach a PowerPoint. I don't know. But, and of course you do have other questions. If it's specific to anything with online or anything with like Sask Polytech, my Sask Polytech or anything Heather talked about, you can definitely reach out to her. But when in doubt, you can absolutely reach out to student engagement at saskpolytech.ca. And we can, maybe even if we can't answer the question, we know who can. So we can send you to whoever you need to go to. Okay. I also want to quickly mention that all of you for coming to this session, you're way ahead of it. You're more ahead of it than you think. Most people just show up on the first day going, huh? So you have all done, trust me, I know even though right now it might seem like, what do I do? You're already way farther ahead than a lot of your classmates. So thank you for coming. Thank you for, no, I shouldn't thank you. You should be happy with yourselves because you're going to make it a lot easier on your first day. Oh, and your Bright. Okay, one more. On your Brightspace profile, what information is shared with others? No, I don't know. Nobody can see that. Your address and your phone.
I think they'll just like, if you change your photo on there, they'll see like a tiny little version of your photo, but I think that's about it.
Yeah, they don't see your social insurance number, your mother's maiden name, At least I hope not. No, they do not. Okay. Well, again, I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again. If you came to today's session, you don't need to come to the ones that are on Thursday. It's all the same information. However, I do hope to see all of you at the Q&A sessions. I know I really, really hyped those up, but they are very helpful and they are very specific to the different supports and services that a lot of the questions you're asking now, they can answer way better than me. That's for sure. Okay. We're probably going to end it now. All right.
Nice to see you all. Take care. Have a good term.
Have a good rest of your day or night or whatever time it is where you are.
Mm-hmm.
And on that, I think we will wrap it up. All right. Well, have a good one, everyone. I'm going to end this meeting.
All right.
Okay.
Take care, everyone.